समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.
Whenever India beats Pakistan, especially in a cricket match, it's always an occasion for national rejoicing. So, yes, I think people were happy when India beat Pakistan. Its Asia Club fixture actually it thrashed Pakistan. But even while there was some rejoicing, that was probably not the overwhelming emotion. As you've seen, the stadium was not full. And on social media, there was criticism. The criticism was, why did this match take place at all? Many of us will remember that after Operation Sindoor, there was a consensus that we would not play with Pakistan no matter what the occasion was. And certainly we weren't going to play with them for minor event like the Asia Cup, which is hardly the Olympics or whatever. So yes, we were happy, but I think there was a sense of why did we do this? Why did we even agree to play this match? If you looked at the responses on social media after our victory, it was generally the BCCI is greedy. Why couldn't they have cancelled this? Why couldn't they have told them in the Asia Cup that India will not be part of it? Why could they not have said that if we have to play Pakistan, we will walk out? After all, India is like the biggest noise in cricket. It's where all the money is. A tournament, particularly an Asian tournament without India, is not a tournament at all. So why didn't we use our clout? Now, it's interesting that among the people who criticized the BCCI the most were hardcore BJP supporters on X. All of them took the line that the BCCI had let India down, which, let's be honest, it probably had. But the abuse of the BCCI also served a second purpose. If you blame the BCCI, then you deflect attention from the responsibility of the government. After all, if the government had said we couldn't go ahead, the match could not be played, it wouldn't have happened. The government, as far as I know, never said that. It didn't even put pressure on the BCCI. So for BJP supporters to blame the BCCI is probably correct, but it's also convenient because it deflects attention from the government's role. But there is a bigger question here. Why are we so angry about Pakistan? Why is there so much vehemence, so much strong emotion surrounding this match? Usually, when you talk to Indians about Pakistan, at least before Operation Sindoor, the general attitude was one of contempt. We dismissed them. We didn't think they mattered. We didn't really care. That's not true any longer. The hatred of Pakistan, the ill feeling is back. And not just is there hatred, there's a sense of restlessness, a sense of there still being unfinished business between the countries. What's changed? Well, I think it's complicated, but I'll tell you some of the things that I think have contributed to the Indian change in mood. The first of them is the Pahalgam incident. Now, feelings on Pahalgam, the anger, I think is probably even stronger than the anger we saw after the Pulwama massacre. It's because terrorists came in and killed innocent tourists. They were killed in front of their families. They tried very hard to make this a Hindu-Muslim thing in the hope of provoking some kind of Hindu retaliation, in the hope of creating communal conflict in India. It is to our credit that instead of turning on each other as the terrorists wanted, we went for Pakistan and we dismantled the terrorist hideouts. But I don't think that message has got through. I think we were still dissatisfied at the end of Operation Sindoor, though it's indisputable that not only did we seriously damaged the terrorist hideouts. The terrorists are still recovering. Why are we unhappy? I think we're unhappy because nobody was satisfied with the way Operation Sindoor ended. We were doing well. We attacked Pakistani military installations. The Pakistanis were upset. They were worried. They asked us for a ceasefire. But we needed, I think, 2 more days to finish the job, to make it a conclusive victory. But even before we could respond to the Pakistanis who wanted the ceasefire or discuss it any further, President Donald Trump of the United States announced that there was a ceasefire and claimed he had brokered it. We, of course, denied this. We said we don't allow third parties to get involved. It had nothing to do with any American mediation, which I think has annoyed President Trump even more because he's doubled down on that claim and repeated it again and again and again. Why did Trump get involved? I don't know. That's something we'll come to later. But what happened at the end of Operation Sindoor was because we were unhappy about the way it ended, with a victory, but not quite the complete victory we had hoped for, with enough ambiguity for Pakistan to also claim victory, for a third party to get involved and to stop us just when we were on the verge of inflicting serious damage, more serious damage on Pakistani military installations, I think left us all dissatisfied. I think this is the first reason why there's still a sense of unfinished business with Pakistan. There's a second reason, and that's we're not sure where we stand now. The government has tried to assuage public sentiment by saying things like Operation Sindoor is still on. But you and I know it's not on. If it's on, then you don't play cricket matches. So while we've tried to keep the rhetoric lukewarm, essentially we've let go and let Pakistan get away with it. I think that leaves Indians dissatisfied and unhappy. Thirdly, I think we are worried about the role America has played in all of this. And though President Trump called the Prime Minister to congratulate him and wish him well on his birthday, there's still bewilderment and bemusement in India about America's attitude. For many years, we'd taken the line that America was through with Pakistan, that America was on our side. They recognized that we were a democracy like them. They knew that Pakistan, after all, is the country that sheltered Osama bin Laden. They knew about the terror networks in Pakistan. So we were, bad word to use, but it's true, we were smug and complacent about Washington. The way in which America seems to have turned against India, especially in the aftermath of Operation Sindoor, has left us all surprised. But should we be? I think one of the problems is there's a whole generation of Indians out there who are too young to remember the background. I think we forget that in 1965, when Pakistan sent infiltrators into Kashmir and then launched a full fledged war against us, they were armed by America. We had very little in the way of equivalent armaments or military equipment, but we still won. We forget that. We forget that in 1971, when we intervened because of the genocide in what is now Bangladesh and what was then East Pakistan, much of the world cheered us on, but not America. America not only supported Pakistan, not only turned a blind eye to the genocide, but President Nixon sent the Seventh Fleet into the Bay of Bengal to intimidate India. We've, I think, forgotten that. But it's still crucial to show us how a president who's making his own foreign policy can change things overnight. We forget that in 1989, when the Kashmir insurgency began, Pakistan sent fighters into India and into Kashmir who were carrying arms that had been given to Pakistan by the CIA, who'd been trained by the CIA. Admittedly, it was for the Afghan jihad, but it was the same people who came into India and created havoc. Even then, America did very little to restrain Pakistan. So it's worth remembering, though we forget now because of the bonhomie of the last few years, that America has often, I would say nearly every time, been on the side of Pakistan. They've been on their side with money, with arms, with foreign policy support. And despite that, and this is the crucial thing, each time we have won. It doesn't matter who Pakistan's allies are. India has been strong enough to take on Pakistan, even with Washington standing behind it. We don't realize that. And I think, therefore, we spend too much time worrying about Trump, worrying about Washington's change of heart. Our foreign policy has always been based on non alignment. And there's a certain logic to that because great powers will always change their positions. They'll change them not out of love, but out of their conception of self interest. The reason Nixon turned a blind eye to genocide was because he was using Pakistan to reach out to China, as we discovered later. For him, that was all important. Whatever was happening on the ground, the people being massacred, didn't matter. One day we'll find out why Donald Trump is so pro Pakistan. Assuming he stays pro Pakistan, it's never clear with Trump. Obviously, there's more to it than meets the eye. We don't know. But regardless of what the reasons are, India has to remain non aligned. It cannot let itself be a pawn of great powers. That's Pakistan's role. We have to be a strong and independent nation. There's a final factor, which is one that I think we're still uncomfortable talking about, which is that many of us, particularly older people, were surprised by the kind of war that Operation Sindoor involved. We are still thinking of war as being an infantry or artillery operation or cavalry operation with air support. We're not used to a war that's fought with drones, that's fought with missiles, that's fought mainly in the air, where ground troops are not really such a crucial part of the conflict. And I think that worries us because we don't realize that in this kind of war, there are specific targets, and things like losing planes, which we did, by the way, don't matter so much as long as the operation and the airstrikes are successful and you don't lose pilots. We don't understand how drones fight. We don't understand how these modern wars have changed all the rules. And at the back of our minds, there's a fear. We've always been dismissive of Pakistan because we are the larger country, we have the larger army, and we think, I mean, how much of a threat can Pakistan pose to India? But here's the thing, in this kind of war with drones and missiles, the size of your army doesn't matter so much. And we think that with modern warfare, are we in a situation where our advantages of size, apart from other things, against Pakistan have been neutralized? I mean, there's a good answer to that question, and the answer is no. We not only did we win, we were on the verge of an even more decisive victory using the terms of modern warfare when we were stopped from going forward. So there is nothing to be insecure about, no reason to worry. It doesn't matter what Trump says. It doesn't matter how many Turkish drones Pakistan uses. India can do all of that and do it better than them. But I don't think we realize that. I think part of the problem is that the government hasn't done enough to be honest with us. It hasn't done enough to reassure us. Instead, it sort of obfuscated the facts. For a long time, they even denied, though the world was talking about it, that planes had been lost. There's nothing wrong with losing planes. It happens in every war for every side. What's important is that you succeed in your missions. But we've never been honest about that. We've just hidden it from our people. So we wait. We want to see what the future brings, what Trump will do, how Pakistan will react, how India will go forward. We don't know any of that. But we do know that no matter what a government may say, if we were really in this position where we had isolated Pakistan, ended this Trump business of hyphenating India and Pakistan, we'd had Pakistan recognized for being the terrorists they were. We'd had the world accept that the Pakistani story, that this Operation Sindoor was about India and Kashmir and just one more chapter, an ongoing struggle. And it wasn't really about any of those things. That's a lie Pakistan has got away with. We were attacked by terrorists and we retaliated. We've not got that story across. We haven't been completely honest with our own people about what happened. I think it's time to be honest. It's time to isolate Pakistan. And one way you certainly don't do that is by going and playing cricket against them. Whatever you may say about the BCCI, the truth is our government let it happen, and India doesn't deserve that.